Hello and welcome to St Andrews, the home of golf. But not just that, it is also famous for being one of the oldest universities in Britain as well as in Europe. It was founded in 1413 and is the third oldest in the UK, next to Oxford and Cambridge. And I was very, very fortunate to be a student here for the university itself, but also because I had the privilege of being in a wonderful hall of residence. This beautiful red sandstone building, which is now Hamilton Grand, luxury apartments. We certainly could not afford to live there now, but I had the pleasure of living there in a couple of those rooms overlooking the 18th green of the old course, and also the beautiful beach called the West Sands with the sea rolling in. Universities in France are very different to universities in the UK in any case, and I think St Andrews is a particularly unique university from all sorts of aspects, and I thought it would be interesting to share a little bit of that with you, some of the memories I have, and also those of 12 other students from my era. We were all here between 1983 and 1988, and I have just met them this weekend. We have had a wonderful reunion. Can you give me at least one lasting memory from your time here?
I think I would say two. First of all, the town. I'm in the fortunate position that I can come back more or less any time, only stay just over an hour away, and the town of St Andrews just left a lasting impression, especially because I met my wife here as well. But secondly, it's seeing people again this weekend has reminded me just how blessed I was with my friendship group. Doesn't matter that we haven't seen each other for 30 years. I think we were very fortunate to all be here at the same time.
I think the most lasting memory I have of St Andrews is how creative and how much fun people could have when they were made to make their own entertainment and it wasn't presented to them, and that was something very special about St Andrews compared to the city universities. It's a lovely place.
My lasting memory is going up on the roof of Hamilton Hall with Barry, Ailey, and I think Rowan, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, and we got some sand up. We made a tee where we hit golf balls off the roof of Hamilton Hall in the vague direction of the old course. That's my memory.
I've got lots of lasting memories, but some of them are not for public release. But my lasting memory is playing golf at 2 o'clock in the morning when the sun was up with the fluorescent golf balls because you couldn't see anything else.
I've got lots of lasting memories, but one of my favourite ones was one night we sat round telling ghost stories in our room in room 39, and then we went out and went to the places where these ghost stories were meant to have taken place and terrified ourselves by sticking a hand through a particular hole in the wall of the cathedral at midnight.
The lasting memory was my very, very first day ever at St Andrews, and I drove up with my mum and dad, and we were in room 36 in Hamilton. So was I. And we opened the door, and my dad, who was a really keen golfer, just sat down in the bay window and looked over the 18th green and just thought that was amazing.
My lasting memory is getting dressed up on Burns night and carrying the haggis to top table with the bagpipes playing in front of me.
But you don't drop it.
I didn't drop it. No, I didn't drop it.
Did you do any of the toasts, Helen?
I did there was a toast to the haggis.
You had to
and
kill the haggis.
I didn't normally drink, but I had a tot of whiskey to toast the haggis. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, I'm sure most people have talked about the pier walks and so the red gowns on the pier after chapel, which Barry was really into, and the raisin weekend. But the thing that I most remember is going for late night swims from here, running into the sea. Probably wasn't that often, and then coming back absolutely shivering and with the wind howling and running back up and having a hot shower. That's what I remember.
I remember studying for my final exams, sitting outside in the sunshine, leaning against the walls of the medieval cathedral and feeling super lucky to have such a lovely place to read my notes.
I remember the wind because we lived in an annex of our residence. Every morning we had to walk to breakfast, and in the winter the wind quite often was right in your face, and we could hardly open the door to get into the residence for our breakfast. So that's one of my lasting memories of St Andrews.
And the rest will maybe hear later on this evening.
Yes.
Lasting memories of St Andrews are being able to live for 4 years, always having a view of the sea or the beach, and being able to cycle around the town because there was so little traffic, and it was like a little bubble.
Friends and meeting Anne. So it's really interesting that St Andrews had this reputation for people who met their partner and met them at university and carried on with them. So that's my lasting memory of meeting people, getting to know them. That's my lasting memory.
I'm meeting up again with them 40 years later.
Well, exactly. And actually meeting friends who you immediately just slip back into conversation as if you've never been away.
So my lasting memory, and this might sound a little bit strange, is actually escaping and getting out of the place. St Andrews sits in the middle of some amazing coastal and countryside scenery. I study geology, which takes you to some amazing valleys and hills and flows, and Scotland has examples of all of the different types of world geology. But when you're here, it's fantastic as well. So it's great to escape, and it's great to celebrate all of the things that are here as well. Great scenery, great people, what a brilliant place
My
to be.
lasting memory, I have so many, all very happy. I think probably one of them would have to be that time in Hamilton Hall, just arriving and feeling accepted and for who I am, and being able to chat about anything and everything, including sitting up till the wee small hours in one of our rooms talking about, could be anything, couldn't it? History, philosophy, politics, life, probably planning what we were going to be doing in 40 years' time. And little did we know then what we would indeed be doing. Thinking of your younger self, would you have any advice to give that person?
Oh, I'm sure we all would have lots. I think one of the things I would say is that don't be so black and white. When I look back at my younger self, I was always convinced that I knew the answer to everything. I was either, well, I was going to say I was
agree
either,
with that one.
well,
Barry.
yeah, I do. I was either right or wrong, but I always thought I was right, and was always prepared to argue it. And I have realised, both the older I've got, the more life experience, that nothing's ever black and white. Life is full of shades of grey, and all the better for it.
They say that you're a long time dead, and you're also a long time working. So my advice to my younger self would be, don't be in too much of a hurry. There are some things in your life that you can go back and do again, and there are some things in your life that the discovery and doing it and knowing that it's the only time you'll do it is the important thing.
Interesting.
And your time at St Andrews is probably going to be one of those. So slow down and enjoy it.
The advice I would give to my younger self is to take some golf lessons and use the facilities of one of the oldest golf course in the world, because at that time, at that era, we could use it at no cost. It was free to students, and I just did not have any notion that that was a particularly special thing. And then afterwards I thought, my God, how mad was I to not take advantage of free golf on the world's first and best golf course.
The advice I would give my younger self is to go to university older. Because I started when I was 17, which I think was too young. So if I'd started maybe when I was 19 or 18, get a bit more life experience beforehand, and then perhaps I would have been as reserved when I first started.
Advice I would give to my younger self just leaving university: listen to Jim Supple, who was the French lecturer, and said, don't go into teaching. He was so right and I was so wrong.
Advice to my younger self is I haven't regretted any of the things I've done, but I have regretted some of the things I didn't do. So my advice to my younger self is, unless you've got a really good reason, always say yes.
My advice to my younger self would be not to be so worried about how things would turn out, to trust they would work out for the best, and in a good Scots phrase, to trust that what's for you will not go by you.
So my advice to my younger self would be to be more patient and to trust myself to make the right decisions.
The advice I give my younger self is, this is a limited period of time you have. It's going to be the best time of your life. Get out of bed and bloody well enjoy it.
Mine is, don't overthink things and don't get too anxious. And like Adrian, it's just relax into it and just appreciate it for what it is and just enjoy it so much.
My advice to my younger self would be to sort of appreciate how lucky you were at that time, and the opportunities that you had, and again, not to worry too much about things that are going to be fine in the long run.
Advice to my younger self would be, whether you're organising something yourself, whether you are going into an event that somebody else has organised, if in doubt, just do it and stick to it and go for it.
My advice to my younger self is, don't be afraid of making mistakes, take more risks, but ultimately you'll know that everything is going to be all right.
What advice would I give my younger self? Possibly have a little more confidence, live a little bit more in the moment, and probably it would have been organise a reunion in St Andrews before 40 years have passed. Last question, would your younger self be very surprised by the person you are today?
I think my younger self would be astonished, and I think even looking back 10 years I'm quite astonished, because I'm working now in an environment which was completely alien to my younger self. But again, I'm grateful that I'm now doing that.
Are you happy to say what you're now doing?
Oh, sorry, yes. I'm now a Church of Scotland minister in what's called a priority area, i.e. an area of high social deprivation, lots and lots of challenges, and I love it to bits.
Would your younger self recognise the you are today?
I think with a few of the rough edges knocked off, quite possibly. I was probably a bit more dogmatic and less willing to see other people's perspectives than I am now, but that's 40 years of life experience. Fundamentally, I still like sport, I still like loud music, and I enjoy a good party. So, for all those reasons, I think my younger self would recognise me, but you'd probably say, why aren't you standing up for yourself more?
Okay, would my younger self recognise me now? Apart from the beard, I think so. Very much.
The best answer to that, the best answer to that probably comes from what my son would say to me now, and he says, I'm the most stupid, intelligent person he's met.
I would recognise recognise myself. I always aspired to be a teacher, and that's what I've become. I'm sure there are things that I could have done differently that might have ended up with a better result, but I don't believe in regretting the things that you've done. I believe on building on them.
I don't think my younger self would be surprised, because I always wanted to teach, and I think my younger self would be quite happy with the way things have turned out.
Good. Yes, I think my younger self would recognise me today. Deep down, I did always want to be a teacher, so the career change I think was the right thing to do. And I wanted a family, and I have my family as well. So I think my younger self would be quite pleased.
My younger self wouldn't have believed that I would have lived to be this age. Because I really didn't take very good care of myself. But I think he would be proud of what I've done and how I've done it.
So talking to the younger Richard, I think you would completely recognise me, and you'd have a bit of a laugh. Similar interests, love fishing, love travelling around the network, love all of the good things in life as well, eating, drinking, food and friendship and fun.
So this is me talking to my younger self. You do recognise me because you're actually doing all the things that you were frightened of doing when you were young.
My younger self probably would recognise me today because I'm told I don't look much different. Attitude-wise, I think I've changed quite a lot. I think we all have really in the last 40 years. But I don't know if my younger self would have expected me to have had the career that I've had. I think I would have expected a different career given the degree that I did, but then you change what you do depending on your circumstances at the time. So I think the younger self wouldn't have recognised the career I've had, but would still recognise me for the person that I am.
I think based on what other people have told me, my younger self would probably recognise me physically. I'm not sure if my younger self would kind of recognise me in other ways. My younger self was really ambitious, and my dream job would have been, for example, to work for the Council of Europe or the United Nations. I wanted to do something very worthy and something linked to international peace, even as dramatic as that. I wanted to do something along those lines, but life didn't kind of lead me in that direction, and life events have also changed the direction in which I've gone several times. So I think that I did take a dramatic change at one point because working in international business made me feel guilty that I wasn't doing something worthwhile, and I switched track at that point. So I suppose in that sense I've stayed true to my 22-year-old self. But I think I became more of a housewife than my younger self would ever have believed.
Would my younger self recognise me today? Absolutely not. I thought I was going to St Andrews University and the world would be my oyster, and I would never in a million years have thought that one day I would be the mother of 4 children. I'd be expected to take early retirement so that I could be grandma. And I ended up marrying somebody who thought that because I'd gone to St Andrews I would be way ahead of him career-wise, and that's not how it worked out. I was far too traditional. I should have broken out more.
My younger self recognised me today. In some ways, no. Hair colour and accent, perhaps. I think my younger self would be pretty pleased with how life has turned out, and the fact that I live in France, having studied French, would be thrilled. Probably would not have believed that, in fact.
you.